Welcome to the College Baseball Central Network, bringing you 90 feet closer to the greatest show on dirt.
Good evening and welcome to CBC Radio, presented to you by Home Field Apparel. Our friends at Home Field are sponsoring all of our weekly shows at College Baseball Central, some bi-weekly, I believe. It feels like there's something every night at College Baseball Central. It's kind of tricky for me to keep track of. I hope it's easy for you guys to keep track of, to hear what you want to hear about, whether it's CBC Radio here on every Wednesday night at 5:30 Central or 6:30 Eastern, or it's Southern Fried Baseball on Mondays. Andrew Rydell with the Rydell Report also on Mondays. We have the Just Means Less crew going twice a week talking about the ACC. There are things that I'm forgetting here, folks, too. I know I'm the man in charge, but the reality is that we're coming at you with all kinds of content this season, and we're over a month in now at this point. It feels like it's been going a lot longer, but at the same time, you think back to opening weekend in Arlington, that doesn't feel that long ago either. We reached my favorite part of the year here in March 18th. I put out a poll last week saying, what is your favorite month of the sports calendar year? I think the debate was always October versus the field growing up when we were young, not to put you in the same age bracket that I am. I'm 27 years old. So it feels like back in the day of high school, maybe 10, 15 years ago, somewhere in that range, it was always, October's the best month, no doubt about it. Anybody who disagrees is wrong. I've completely flipped. March is my favorite month of the year. You get college baseball, and you get the best part of the college basketball calendar. And I love college basketball. See, I'm an Iowa State fan, lifelong. We have no baseball. So this is the end of my sports calendar already in springtime. If you consider football season to be the beginning, this is where we end. If you look at it the other way around, then we've got football down the road. But there is no baseball in Ames, Iowa, for better or for worse. I think it's for better. That would be a poor product. It also makes it easy for me to not hate several Big 12 teams like I do in other sports. I'll admit that. But you get the NCAA basketball tournament, which has kind of already started. If you believe in the whole or whatever you call them, the play-in games, I don't consider that to be the tournament. If you lose in a play-in game, unfortunately, in my eyes, you didn't make the tournament, especially if you're an 11 seed. Like NC State did not make the tournament this year. That's unfortunate for them. It's a little different when you're a 16 seed. You won your league. I'll allow you to say you made the tournament. But if you're an 11 seed, you lose a play-in game, you're not in the tournament. But this isn't a college basketball program. We also have college baseball. We're in the full swing of conference play. And if you're new to CBC Radio, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I see about 40 of you are tuned in right now, about 2 minutes into the show. I always call it a show. It's not a show. This is designed to be a radio show of sorts where one day I want to have a call-in feature. And frankly, I want that to be sooner rather than later. I want this to be an opportunity where you guys can chime in. I want a screaming Arkansas fan upset with me about how you guys struggled in the weekend series, but still won 2-1. I want Missouri fans saying, we're getting braided by Kansas right now. I think it's 9-0, maybe 8-0 in Lawrence right now. I want those fans calling in, and whether you're upset, whether you're happy, whether you're in between, I want to hear about it. That's my goal long term. Whether that's 1 week from now, maybe it's next year. I don't know. We got Matt Grissom waiting in the wings because I'm about to call to the bullpen and bring him in to join me as he has almost every episode. I keep saying episode, almost every edition of CBC Radio. But just to highlight again, this is probably going to be my last time saying it if you've heard this a million times. And I think this is the 6th edition of CBC Radio. That sounds about right. CBC Radio is designed for you to tune in, sit back, relax, listen to my ramblings, because I used to call Matt Grissom and we would go on these incredible tangents about what fruit I was into at that moment. In a minute, we're going to talk about another one of our tangents. That's what this is. This isn't, oh man, I missed the weekend in college baseball. I'm really hoping to hear who's doing well in whatever conference. That's our other shows. Our other shows do a great job of that. And I can talk to you about those things, certainly. If you want me to, we can go there. But in my head, if you're watching me at 5:30 Central or 6:30 Eastern on a Wednesday evening, you probably already know the scores that happened on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You probably know that Auburn took it right to Georgia Tech last night in the midweek, because you are a sicko when it comes to college baseball. You're watching me 5:30 on a Wednesday. You have more problems than not knowing the score of the Miami whatever Saturday game. Thank you, Crutch Bets. Iowa State baseball, undefeated since 2001. You already knew that, though. I'm hoping the Clones can win a couple basketball games over the next few weeks. I would literally, you see my arms right here, I would saw these off to go to the Final Four, not to get all A&M on you, saw them off. But I would lose all my limbs for a Final Four appearance. I would sign up for that. You bring me a contract, I will sign on that dotted line. That's how much that means to me. Thanks, Crutch, though. Baseball looks great again. So does Colorado. So does Wisconsin. So does Syracuse. So does North Texas. Again, for better or worse. However, like I alluded to, Matt Grissom is awaiting in the wings. We're going to go to the bullpen a little early. Gris, don't bring yourself on just yet. I want to explain what you're doing early, because if you've tuned in the last few weeks, you've seen Matt Grissom in his segment Moneyball kind of breaking down some advanced statistics for some of us dummies. I failed geometry in 9th grade, so when Matt Grissom starts talking about anything other than ball hit hard, it goes right over my head. But it's designed to make you guys sound smarter at the water cooler. It makes me sound a little bit smarter every week, but not really. Grissom's our nerd, and frankly, if Grissom's our nerd, we're in trouble. But as far as advanced stats go, Grissom is our nerd. But he did challenge me earlier. I said that this is a program built on tangents, and we have the ultimate tangent here today. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so Grissom said, why don't you identify? He didn't even give me the options. He said, I want you to identify minor holidays, non-major. We're not talking about the big holidays here. Minor holidays, and rank them. He didn't define the holidays. I had to do that on my own. And then I had to rank them. Now, I could have listed 20 holidays, whether it's Neighbor's Day or National Pet Your Dog Day. I don't buy in any of that. I went with holidays that you can find on your calendar for, I think, the most part. And I gave you top 5. But I'm going to tell you my whole process. Grissom, why don't you come on out? Bring yourself on like you always do. And
I'm here.
We'll go ahead and through this process. Now bring yourself on. Put the graphic on the screen. I know you're here. Put my graphic on the screen. Go on, Gris. Thank you, Grissy. Matt Grissom is in the background, clicking buttons like the little nerd that he is. Again, we'll get to his nerdy segment in a minute. But Grissom asked me earlier today, rank your favorite minor holidays. I think you wanted me to rank them all. I'm not going to do that because, like I said, there's literally millions of holidays. There's probably 10 holidays today. We aren't going to buy into all that. But first, I wanted to identify what a major holiday is to me. There's only 3 of them, folks, and Grissom did not identify the 4th of July as a major holiday. And I can go either way, but Christmas Day and Thanksgiving stand out as the 2 major holidays, and then 4th of July, I'm going to throw that in there as well. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. If you know me, that's not a surprise. Now, if you do know me, you know I'm not a big family guy. I'm not a big gather around the table and have dinner every Sunday. None of that. I don't care who's at Thanksgiving. I do care about the quality of food. I'm a big American food guy. I like comfort food of all sorts, and I really enjoy all the food on Thanksgiving for the most part. There's always something. I don't do cranberries. I'm not into that. But Thanksgiving is my number 1 overall holiday, even though it's second on the list. But I think most people would say that Christmas Day is the number 1 holiday. You can slide in any other denominational holidays that you believe in. This is a placeholder of sorts, not to get all religious ranking on you guys. But Christmas Day, my number 1, that goes for Hanukkah. Kwanzaa, whatever you want to call it, but Christmas Day, your blanket placeholder for winter, major holiday. And on the 4th of July, I said kind of a throw in. That's the end of my list. Those are the major holidays in my eyes. I challenged myself with this when I said, imagine your employer coming to you and saying, hey, we need you to work. How angry am I going to be on a scale of 1 to 10? These are the 10s. I will not work on these days. No matter what, there's no scenario in which I will be doing any work on any of these days. These are my major holidays. Additionally, I wanted to clear the air. There are certain federal holidays, days that we do get off for the most part when it comes to work, and days that are on your calendars, days that you guys probably value quite heavily. This isn't a me versus you thing. This is strictly my book. New Year's Day and New Year's Eve is a passionate subject of mine. We don't celebrate New Week. We don't celebrate New Month. We don't celebrate New Day. So why are we celebrating New Year's? And if we're going to go full American, okay, let's not get too political when we start ranking holidays, but if we're going to go full Americentric, why is New Year's Day January 1st when everybody else in the world does it? Why don't we do that July 4th? A lot of people will say, let's not combine 2 holidays. And I get that. Let's get 2 days off of work. Why not? However, if we're saying that our Independence Day, the first day we were a country, was July 4th, why on earth are we saying, all right, now it's a new year right in the middle of that? If we're going July to July, that's a year. We've existed for 1 year. But, oh, by the way, 5 months in, it's a new year. I understand that's a global thing. That's not a U.S. thing. We didn't choose December 31st. That's everybody. But Chinese New Year is its own holiday. I believe there's a Mexican New Year. I'm not a world traveler by any stretch, but I would move New Year's Day to July 4th, New Year's Eve, not even a holiday. You got to be kidding me. Again, we don't sit around Sunday night and say, man, I'm really excited for next week. Let's binge drink. Let's shoot fireworks off at midnight. No, it's New Year's. Congratulations. The calendar changes. We don't celebrate other calendar changes. Totally ridiculous. Christmas Eve, the reason that I didn't include this as a holiday is because it's kind of the same vein with New Year's Eve. All we're doing is saying that tomorrow is a special day. I'm okay if you give me work off. Personally, I don't get Christmas Eve off. Not that that's the end all be all, but I'm going to sit here and say Christmas Eve, not a holiday, simply because it's saying that tomorrow is a holiday. That feels wishy-washy to me. It's not Thanksgiving Eve. Now we'll get into Black Friday a little bit later on. I can hear those wheels turning, but not a holiday in my eyes. Now, before
do you not think though that it's New Year's between Christmas Eve and New Year's is just like a free for all? Every day's a holiday throughout that time period. It gives people an opportunity to relax, be with family, get through Christmas, now get ready to celebrate the new year, which I get your sentiment. We don't celebrate a new month, a new week, whatever. A year is a little different.
I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is different. The reality is that we're very cyclical people. It's still the middle of the season. Nothing has changed between December 31st and January 2nd, except the day on or the year on the calendar, the individual number on the calendar. And now you've got people at the bank, forgetting, or wherever else you write dates in adulthood, forgetting what year it is. Other than that, everything's identical. We don't even attach it to the change of a season. I would like it, Chris. I'd be anxious to hear your thoughts on the concept of maybe not moving it, because that's a little ridiculous at this point. But back in the day, 1776, saying, hey, why don't we change July 4th, our Independence Day, and also call it either the last day or the first day of the new year, no matter how that would try. I could see where that would get dicey, whether it's July 3rd or July 4th gets the holiday. I would imagine it would be July 4th, but then why are you shooting fireworks off? Whatever that looks like. What are your just general thoughts on that concept?
I don't like that at all.
Okay.
I think you can just say, oh, now it's the new year. You can go back to the Mayans and thank them for the new year starting over January.
Well, the cool thing about the Mayans, Chris, is that I was in 8th grade in 2012. So the 8th grade mind will believe just about anything. So me and my classmates were pretty convinced that we were all going to die during the end of the world, December 12th of 2012. They even made a movie about it. Chris, you were, of course, alive during all this, but you're a little bit older than I. In fact, much older than I. How was the idea of the world ending in 2012 handled by your demographic?
I don't think we cared. Our biggest issue was 1999 going over into 2000. All the computers were going to crash. The world was going to burn. So that didn't happen. I was a wee little teenager stuck away in a condo dealing with altitude sickness in Colorado. That didn't stop my parents from partying like it was 1999. And had the world ended, I would have died cold and alone in a Breckenridge, Colorado condominium by myself. So, yeah, it didn't happen. Therefore, 2012 was not even a blip on my radar that I can recall.
If you're listening,
it did some damage to you though.
It didn't affect me at all.
99, everything computer was going to crash.
I was born in December of 98, so my mindset was not overly concerned with Y2K. In fact, credit to me for not buying into any of that. I can honestly say that I never put much thought into it. So good on me as far as Y2K goes. If you're listening right now, number one, you're like a trooper. You're on the front lines. You are braver than the troops on D-Day, or pretty close to it, as long as we're talking about making the 4th of July a different holiday. If you're listening right now, like, subscribe, go on YouTube right now. If you're watching on Twitter, thank God Twitter is streaming this week. It wasn't working last week, and it drove me insane. But if you're watching us on Twitter right now, like the video, retweet it. That's fantastic. Comment. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, like, subscribe. And if you're vice versa. You're not on YouTube, you're not on Twitter, go to the other one and do exactly what I just said. Retweet, like, comment, subscribe, literally comment anything. Just let us know that you exist. If you have any thoughts on the 4th of July, should be New Year's Day, I want to hear about it because that's something I've thought of in my head for a long time. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds almost un-American, but at the same time, very American. So I'd be anxious to hear your guys' thoughts in the YouTube comment section. If you insist on staying on Twitter, I'll live. Comment on Twitter too. I want to hear your opinions on that. Grissom, as we continue on this story, number one, we discussed my major holidays. I'm just going to go back to it. Major holidays: Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, 4th of July. Not holidays: New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and Christmas Eve. So we've identified holidays and not holidays. I want to now dive into holidays I consider. Now, you asked me to rank non-major holidays, and theoretically, I'm ranking them right here. They're just outside my top 5. These are not in any order. These were just holidays that came to mind after I established my top 5. I will say that Labor Day was probably number 6 for me. Now, I know what you're thinking. Labor Day, that kind of sucks. What is Labor Day? The key thing with Labor Day, Chris, is we go all the way from July 4th to Columbus Day. That's from July to October without a holiday if we don't have Labor Day. Labor Day comes perfectly in September. We don't have any holidays in August. So we go a long time without a day off of work. If we're talking about valuing holidays for days off of work, we work a long time. And if the 4th of July is on a Saturday or a Sunday, we go a long time without a day off of work with a holiday. And it's very nice when Labor Day comes around. That's really its redeeming factor, is we're getting a day off for Labor Day no matter what day of the week it is. And thank God for that. I don't know anything about Labor Day. I don't care to know what Labor Day is. It's just a nice little throw-in somewhere in the fall. I believe it's in September, Gris. Credit me if I'm wrong. Frankly, again, I don't care to know. So, in fact, don't even tell me what it is, Gris. Seeing as yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, that crossed my mind as well. Frankly, if we were doing this in September, I don't know if it would have crossed my mind. Totally insignificant holiday to me. I do not have a drinking problem. I do like a Reuben. However, it would appear that March 17th is the worst day in the world to want a Reuben because everybody else in the world is eating a Reuben. Call me crazy, but I'll eat a Reuben any day of the year. I like Reubens. They're good. They were invented in Omaha. That's a controversial subject at times. Some will say it was invented in New York. It was invented in Omaha, Nebraska. I've had several Reubens in Omaha. I know my personal favorite. A lot of people throughout the year, especially in June, will ask me, what are your favorite places in Omaha? Because when we go to the College World Series, I'd love to try some good spots instead of the usual stuff we just kind of end up at. I will make a list because I've been more intentional with that this year. And Reubens in Omaha will be making my list because it is a little bit of a delicacy around here, but there's a lot more to St. Patrick's Day than Reubens. And unfortunately, I don't care about most of those things. Kind of irrelevant holiday for me. But it is nice to have a spring holiday. I love a good spring holiday. You notice
your ancestors are rolling over in their graves right now.
Thank you, Gris. You notice I haven't even mentioned Easter. What is that? What I think about Easter. Easter is so insignificant that I have not mentioned it as a major holiday or a non-major holiday that I've considered. It's not in my top 5. Easter sucks, but we can get into that conversation a little bit later on. Again, we're not ranking religions here. My religion does fall in line with Easter, so it's not a me versus you thing. I just think Easter is overrated. But continuing, Black Friday, which is totally the opposite of Easter. The day after Thanksgiving is an elite day. It's great you think back to elementary school, Gris, and I know the schools like to do their own things when it comes to Thanksgiving. So I'm curious what your children's schedule looks like in November. I remember having the Wednesday before Thanksgiving off, and then you get Thanksgiving, and then you get Black Friday. So all of a sudden, Thanksgiving is now a 5-day holiday if you count the weekend. And then if you're a shopping addict, you get Cyber Monday the Monday after. So now we're talking about a 6-day holiday for Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving being my number 1 holiday, I give a lot of credence to Black Friday. It's a fantastic day. But rolling on,
not a holiday.
I'll agree, not a holiday, but you know what? It's on the calendar. It's on the calendar, Gris.
You asked me a question and then you just kept rambling. So my wife, being a teacher and 2 school-age children, they get out the whole week for Thanksgiving. So they actually get like a 7-day weekend.
It's a little egregious.
And then in Arkansas, several schools get out for the opening day of modern gun season.
I do not know what that is, nor do I care to know.
Deer
But
hunting.
that's very Arkansas of you. Yeah, that is insane. Martin Luther King Day is it's a nice holiday in January. Just as far as holidays go, I would like it if it was later in the year. It feels like we get a couple holidays early on and they kind of stack up. I would love Martin Luther King Day a lot more if it was in August. That would be awesome. We need an August holiday desperately, but I know it's his birthday and you can't really move that around. I wish he had been born in August. I would say that though. And then closing it out, the top five of the not top five would be Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever it's called in your state. Columbus Day is a nice fall holiday. It's a good throw-in. It's kind of like Arbor Day, just in October. Without it, we would go a long time without a holiday, without a day off of work. It's always nice on Columbus Day. I would say that the one knock on Columbus Day
or
is
Columbus Day.
Yeah, whatever. I never know how to spell that word. Is that MDW? I don't even know what that is.
Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, that's going to get in there.
Right.
We haven't even. Yeah, give it time. Give it time.
People are anxious here.
Yeah, this is obscene. But Columbus Day is one of those holidays where you never actually know who has it off and who doesn't, which is why it kind of gave me pause. The same could be said at Labor Day, but Columbus Day feels like one of those days that I get off that not everybody else does. So, in a sense, it's kind of Mickey Mouse because you're like, oh, hey, it's Columbus Day. Are you able to go do this? No, I have to work. Oh, that's weird. But for me, it's awesome. So I am going to get into a holiday in just a second on maybe one that you guys don't ever get off or ever heard of. Grissom knows what it is. Jake McKeever certainly knows what it is. But first, Gris, I want to go to our friends at Home Field. You recorded this up on their behalf, I should say, maybe not for them. They certainly didn't ask you to do that. But your sweet honeysuckle voice tells us a little bit about our partner, our presenting sponsor at Home Field.
Before we get back to the action, we've got to tell you about the best gear in college sports. The place to go is Home Field Apparel. Check out the Diamond Classics collection, high-quality throwback jerseys for your favorite team. From the Arkansas Razorbacks to the Vanderbilt Commodores, Home Field has you covered. Home Field's the only apparel partner of College Baseball Central. Gear up for game day by visiting homefieldapparel.com.
Thank you to our friends at Home Field, and absolutely, Grissom, your honeysuckle voice carried us through there. Gris, I am intending on any day now going into a massive shopping spree on the Home Field website because they do offer I believe it's 20% off coupon code for any first-time shopper just by literally going to the site. You go to the site, and they will throw you a coupon. It's really that easy. They love giving away essentially free stuff. So if you've never been to Home Field before, go check it out. Their website's great. They have literally almost any school you can think of. I don't know how many schools they don't have, all the way from alphabetically. Who would be first in the alphabet, Gris? Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas. Alabama would be first, due to the state song. Alcorn State. No, yeah, it'd be Alabama. I can't think of anybody early in the alphabet than Alabama. They got them all the way from Alabama to Youngstown State in the alphabet. So if you want random gear, that's what I'm going to do. I'm afraid to go and buy random stuff right now because I'm worried that my Iowa State Cyclones were going to run into a random school in the NCAA tournament, and now I've got a bunch of their stuff on the way to my house, and that's bad juju. As soon as the NCAA tournament ends for hoops, I'm going all in on a bunch of stuff for baseball. I'm getting myself some random college gear. I got to get myself some Big West stuff. I've got to get some ACC flavor in my wardrobe because the ACC has always been my blind spot. I need some Demon Deacons things in my house. I always talk about the Wake Forest LSU game in 23 was the greatest game of all time, and nobody disagrees with that. But either way, I need to do some shopping, and Home Field is where I'm going to be doing that at. You all should join me in that. Again, shout out to our friends at Home Field. But continuing on, we've established, number one, what I consider a major holiday. Number two, what I don't consider to be a major holiday. And then we identified some of the non-major holidays that I considered. And finally, Grissom, I know you've been on the edge of your seat. You guys in the comment section have been on the edge of our seat. The non-major holidays that I rank 1 through 5, my top 5 minor holidays, Arbor Day at number 1. And I'm going to explain these all in a second. Groundhog Day, President's Day, Valentine's Day, and Memorial Day. Now, you might look at some of these and be like, what in the world? I've never heard of some of these. Some of these are barely even holidays. It feels very government, which is fair to say. I'm going to start at the bottom. I know one of our commenters had mentioned, where's Memorial Day weekend? Edge of your seat. Wait a minute. It was coming. It was never not going to be here. Memorial Day weekend is awesome. You get the grill out. It's kind of the official start of summertime. You get the troops element of things. You get all patriotic, a little bit of an appetizer of the 4th of July a few months down the road. The weather is always pretty spectacular, not too hot. We're definitely out of the cold front. You don't have to worry about shoveling snow again because it's the end of May. Even here in Omaha, where it was a blizzard yesterday and it's 75 here today, the weather is cleared up. But also, Selection Monday is Memorial Day every single year. We give the NCAA a lot of crap for things that they just don't do right. But the college baseball calendar, I know that the controversy is that it starts too early, or it's a benefit to the southern teams, not the northern teams. But if you look at it strictly from a when do they start and when do they finish from a days on the calendar perspective, not necessarily the weather or any other factors, you start on a 3-day weekend in President's Day that I'll get to in a minute. So opening weekend's a 3-day weekend. And then you reveal the NCAA tournament also on a 3-day weekend. You get those conference tournaments wrapped up on Memorial Day weekend. It's literally a perfect college baseball weekend and a perfect calendar. You go from one 3-day weekend to another on the college baseball calendar. And Selection Sunday, I literally get chills thinking about Selection Monday, not Sunday. That's hoops, which we just had. But Selection Monday is terrific. And that carries a lot of weight for Memorial Day. If Selection Monday wasn't on Memorial Day, I'd be like, this is just a grilling out holiday, which, again, is fine. But that adds a little extra twist to me. That's why they're low, is because without Selection Monday, they may not make the cut. On its surface, it's a better holiday than Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, frankly, kind of sucks, kind of is a scam. But, again, it gets a lot of benefit because when is Valentine's Day? Right on college baseball opening weekend. Some will say that actually hurts the cause because now you're in trouble with the woman back home because you're busy watching college baseball, or better yet, attending college baseball instead of paying attention to her. Who cares about all that? College baseball starts, college baseball opening weekend, and they literally give us a holiday right around the same time. But they don't just give us one holiday. They give us 2 holidays with President's Day. So you get Valentine's Day, you get college baseball usually opening either that day or the day after. And then, boom, college baseball opening weekend comes to an end. You have essentially overdosed on college baseball all weekend long. Man, I really need a day off. Well, good news. President's Day is here. You get that Monday off of work. You got the Valentine's stuff day out of the way. You had a full weekend of college baseball. And boom, President's Day gives you a reset day to get back to work. And you say, man, my Arkansas Razorbacks, we only went 2-1 in Arlington. I think I'm going to jump off a cliff. President's Day says, hey, long season ahead. It's the ultimate refresh. A lot of people will say they should move the Super Bowl back to the day before President's Day. Let's leave it for college baseball. Who cares about the Super Bowl? This is way more important. College baseball opening weekend. It's timed up perfectly. Again, not counting weather and all that. Number 2 and number 1 are personal for me, not for any serious reason. And no, it's actually not going over its normal time slot. We are right on cue, right on track right now. Groundhog Day is an excellent holiday. Number 1, I'm born on December 2nd. And you're like, what on earth does that have to do with anything? February 2nd, 2 months later to the day, is a terrific holiday. You wake up at 6 in the morning and you literally get notified how much longer is winter going to be. Is it going to be 6 weeks till spring, or do we have 6 more weeks of winter? Now, a lot of people say that's the exact same thing. Don't tell Punxsutawney Phil that. Tremendous tradition up in Punxsutawney. It's an ultimate bucket list item. If I got diagnosed with some sort of disease and they told me I have a year to live, February 2nd next year, I guarantee you I am in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, because it's not just watching the groundhog. It's a very cool, they get the guys in the top hats out there, the village people of sorts. They live around this groundhog. But there's also a ball. There's a whole event. There's a weekend of events. There's a festival of sorts that surrounds it. It's not just show up to a field, watch this groundhog come out of the ground and go to work. It's a weekend and a week of events. And there's winners. There's auctions of all kinds of things. I would highly suggest looking at the Groundhog Day website. Just Google Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney. You'll find the right website. Ton of cool traditions with it. Gris, I see you just unmuted. Do you have any comments on Groundhog Day?
Yeah, Punxsutawney Phil is 35% at accurately predicting whether or not when.
Yeah, so I went ahead and muted Gris because he was talking down on Punxsutawney Phil, and that won't be tolerated. And he's just unmuted himself. But Gris, I'm going to move on since you're so passionately upset about Punxsutawney Phil, who is literally an American hero, alongside Joey Chestnut and the presidents on Mount Rushmore. Number one for me. It's 73 degrees. It's 73 degrees tonight in Omaha, Nebraska. You live in Florida. If you're eating chili right now, you need a lobotomy. That's a CBC chat reference as well. But number one, my favorite minor holiday is Arbor Day. Now, I'm going to bet that 99% of you are like, what in the world is Arbor Day? And that's perfectly fair. I'm sorry that you don't know what Arbor Day is.
I'm sure that's the sole reason people are sticking around this long.
That's actually the sole reason why I like Arbor Day, is that none of you know what it is. I'll tell you why I like Arbor Day. So what is Arbor Day? It's sort of a tree holiday. It's Nebraska. It's very wilderness. I don't know much about Arbor Day. Frankly, again, like I keep saying, I don't care to know. I think it's tied to Johnny Appleseed. It's definitely something to do with trees and them blossoming in late April. It's the last Friday in April every single year. Now, nobody in the world gets Arbor Day off except for my line of work from 9 to 5. I work for the judicial branch in the state of Nebraska. And the state of Nebraska judicial branch, not the executive, not the legislative branch, not people down at Kmart. They don't get that off either. Only me, only judges, only people in charge of signing laws in Nebraska, or not signing laws, actually interpreting laws in Nebraska, get Arbor Day off of work. So it is a terrific holiday. It's a Friday every year. So whoever came up with Arbor Day and said, let's do it on Friday. A lot of people in Nebraska say that, oh, yeah, I'm going to plant a tree, but it's just a total joke. Nobody plants a tree. Because the rest of you guys have to go to work. I don't plant a tree. I sit around, I sleep in, and I say, wow, it's Friday, and literally everything is open. I don't have to sit and think, oh, man, you know what, I bet they're closed for Arbor Day. Because I know they're not. Nobody's closed for Arbor Day except for me. And it's like a free weekend day with literally no downside. The mail still comes to my house. The bank is open. It's an unbelievable holiday. It's literally a free day off. It's like spring break for one day. I wish we had Arbor Week. I wish we had Arbor Month, but unfortunately, it's just Arbor Day. Grissom is
initiated by Julius Sterling Morton in.
Okay, J. Sterling Morton. He's got an elementary school named after him up here.
Over 1 million trees were planted during the first celebration.
Well, good thing, because that makes it for the trees that I won't be planting. But I do appreciate the day off. And again, it's so huge that it's always on a Friday. You know how many Friday holidays there are, Gris? Not many. And if there are Friday holidays, I promise it's not every Friday. It's a lucky, hey, the 4th of July is on a Friday this year. Awesome. I will say Halloween kind of got snubbed on this list. I imagine that'll change as my child grows up a little bit older. I do like Halloween, though. Any other snubs, let me know in the comments. We've now spent about 25 minutes discussing random holidays. I will say that this is the most active. Yeah, okay. I will say that this is the most active comment section we've had in reference to anything with CBC Radio.
Well, let me tell you now, so that it's on record.
Okay.
2 holidays that you snubbed that you will now be celebrating: Father's Day and Mother's Day. Do not forget it. Tattoo it on your arm. As a first-time father and a first-time mother, you have to go all out for Mother's Day.
Without diving too much into my family history, you probably know the reasons why Father and Mother's Day were not high on the list. I will say that my mother passing away in the last few years, her birthday was May 11th. So Mother's Day was always right around that same period of time too. Sometimes it'd be the same day. Other times it'd be a day or two later. So it was kind of the ultimate mother weekend. And at a certain age, you kind of appreciate that. And we're like, okay, yeah, you've earned it. But there's also a certain part of you where it's like, oh man, it's Mother's Day weekend. The whole weekend's a wash because she owns this whole weekend. She owns it like Monopoly. You cannot land in these 3 spaces because she's got them locked down. I know it's different now when the mother is from a different perspective. So I understand what you're saying, but that's why it didn't make my list, because it was always poured on really thick. Like, oh, you own this whole weekend. But I do appreciate the input, Grissy. However, I will say that my Father's Day will not change. I will spend every Father's Day of my life at the College World Series as long as I am breathing. Even if I'm not breathing, I want my dead body brought out onto the field every Father's Day because I'm not going to sit around, and if I get to choose what I do on my day, it's spending a day at the ballpark with you, Matt Grissom, and Ole Miss or Texas or Vanderbilt or whoever's in Omaha. That's what I want. My kid can make an appearance, but come on, let's make it about me.
We will forever share that in common. My birthday is June 17th, and so it's always right there. So I get lumped in Father's Day, birthday. It's summer. It's the College World Series. Absolutely amazing. And then also, I might add, Groundhog Day being number 2 on your list, being February 2nd. That was also my father's birthday, who passed away. And my son, 50 years to the date, was born on February 2nd as well. So a little sad time, good time there with both Father's Day and Groundhog Day to level your sentiment about Mother's Day. I totally get it. But
yeah, well, you had to one up me there.
Well, no, just I totally get it. But then you get to turn the page and you get it from another perspective, and it's awesome. So you'll enjoy your first Father's Day from afar, even though you won't be that far.
Yeah, I'll be down the road, 20 minutes. Gris, now feels like a good time to bring you on stage. You've been in the background for a while now. This is Matt Grissom with Moneyball.
He can't throw. But what can he do?
He gets on base.
We are card counters at the blackjack table.
You're buying into this Bill James bullshit, are you?
I'm heading in. Text me the play-by-play.
Wait, what?
I don't watch the games.
All right. Sitting behind the scenes for so long. No telling what I was doing back there. Just mostly rolling my eyes at Noah, his list. All right, let's get into it. John Embry of Florida Gulf Coast, your hitter of the week. John sits at a 431 average, 250 in weighted runs created. That's 150% better than your average college hitter. A 1285 OPS. This week, what did he do? Oh, just 16 for 29, good for a 552 average with 16 hits, 9 RBI versus Queens, and a midweek against Florida International. Pitcher of the week, Trey Beard. You may have heard of this guy. I was really high on him in the Diamond Report going into the season. Between him and Wes Mendez, I think Florida State has perhaps one of the best 1-2 punches in the country. 14 strikeouts versus Wake Forest, over 6 2/3 innings pitched, only allowed 1 hit, 0 earned run, and that gives us the team of the week. Florida State, and please, someone in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but my research showed that Wake Forest had never been shut out at home in back-to-back games ever, and this Florida State pitching staff did it. This team is number 16 in teams here at 277, number 41 in weighted runs created. So they're doing a very good job of balancing pitching and hitting. Combine that with, I can't even read my own notes, with outscoring Wake Forest 24-6. Those 6 runs were allowed in game 3. Florida State looks absolutely dominant and in control to contend in the ACC. Staff of the week, Florida Gators. I know the games were not pretty against South Carolina, but the pitching staff continues to dominate. They're number 4 in xFIP at 416, 12 in Sierra at 268, number 10 in ERA, and they led the country in ERA and WHIP with a .66 WHIP, 1.03 ERA over the weekend, and a K rate of 65% against the Gamecocks. Hats off to the Florida Gators. And then Louisville. Somebody woke up the Cardinals. It's good to see. Batting .449 over the last week. That's number 1 in the country. They move up to number 3 in average at 358, number 6 in OPS at 1043, and number 6 in weighted runs created. If you think back, they missed Zion Rose for a little bit. They've really turned it on, and this offense is finally playing to the level that we thought it was going to play at all season long. So good to see the Louisville Cardinals back hitting the ball.
That is good to see for my Louisville Cardinals, who I do have in my Omaha 8 projection and the Diamond Report, as well as a few tweets I've thrown out there that I have not updated since before the season started. So hopefully they do figure that out a little bit, and maybe they have. Gris, I asked you last week, and I know that it's only been 2 weeks for the ACC, but 1 week for largely every other conference. How do you think conference play was going to impact the way you look at things from finding edge with some of these picks? And you, of course, have a hitter from Florida Gulf Coast, but the rest of these guys are power competition. Looking into your crystal ball, do you foresee more power competition kind of separating itself from the others? Or is, again, I'm going to ask you again, the challenge of their opponents, is that something that is going to weigh them down and allow more John Emburys to make their appearances on Moneyball?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what people want. I mean, they know about the guys for the big conferences, so we want to shine some light on the smaller ones. Now, I expect all of these stats to start leveling out. We've already seen Georgia kind of come back down to earth. Georgia Tech was humbled against a really good pitching staff in Auburn. VMI was really close to making my lineup of the week. This is an honorable mention for them. 109 stolen bases. That leads the country by 11. Watch out for the Keydets. They could probably work their way into one of these lists before too long. But yeah, I told you backstage it was going to be hard to kind of dethrone Georgia from that most balanced staff. I think people they get it. But I still have question marks about the Georgia Tech and Georgia pitching staffs. The offenses, I know they're going to be great, but I think time will tell how all of these stats start to shake up. I posted what shouldn't have been controversial, but a somewhat controversial post about our insiders metrics, the expected earned run average here. And I think it was 7 of the 10 were SEC schools. And I just ask, are these just stat padding from weaker competition, or do you think these pitching staffs, which ones in particular, are going to be able to carry water throughout the season and end up top? Auburn sits atop that list. I was mostly attacked by Auburn fans saying weak competition. Well, there were all 6 other SEC schools that I was targeting in that question. I think as a country, we have forgotten how to just have a conversation. It's all. You can't do that on Twitter anymore, I guess. But no shade being thrown there. I'm just wondering which pitching staffs are legit versus who have kind of propped up against weaker competition early on in the season. We'll see as the sample size expands.
Well, Gris, you mentioned maybe inequalities. How do you, when you look at the way that the Florida State pitching staff was able to deliver against Wake Forest, but you still identified Florida as the best staff of the week, and then Louisville is the best lineup of the week in terms of finding value. Among the statistics you did point out is literally leading the way. What's the challenge of identifying the best team of the week while also identifying that Florida had the best pitching, but Louisville had the best lineup? How do you find a different team when Florida State wasn't identified as either the best staff or the best lineup?
Yeah, so I mean, Florida didn't blow up the numbers against South Carolina. I felt like they could. They were getting no hit, I think, in game 1 through 10 innings. So it's just finding that balance. Like we've talked about in the past, this is kind of watching the games as well as looking at the stats at the end of it, kind of box score hunting here on Tuesday, Wednesday, when we start to prepare this. So I think it's a combination of both. I think when teams or players do something that you're like, wow, that was really good. And for me, Trey Beard, a guy like Hunter Dietz that made it last week, they were high coming in, but they really hadn't had that like really good performance yet. So Hunter Dietz gets the nod last week as pitcher of the week. I think he had 12 or 13 strikeouts. And then now we've seen Trey Beard kind of live up to that, show you what his potential can be with a 14 strikeout game. This is a guy that only sits at 29 strikeouts on the season. Or 28. So half of those came in one appearance, and they did it against the Demon Deacons, who were a top 25 team, and at home. So very impressive. Now, Chris Lavonis, another guy who's been on the pitcher of the week for Wake, he pitched really well too in that game 2 against Florida State that ended 2-0. Unfortunate thing is nobody for Wake could swing the bats, and that was large in part to Trey Beard. So here we go. 3 weeks in, we've got Chris Lavonis, Hunter Dietz, and Trey Beard looking like 3 legit Saturday arms across the country.
Griss.
And Grant Govell before that. Look at there. That's 4. 4 Saturday guys I've given you.
Griss is a Big 12 guy at heart. I don't know if you've had a Big 12 guy or a Big 12 team on here just yet, and I'm sure you're scientific in your approach. I'm anxious to see when a Kansas State Wildcat, or maybe the whole team, maybe the offense, is going to make your list. I know I don't normally quiz you on teams who don't appear on here, but any insight on K-State? Did they come up in your research at all? Because it seems like their offense has been on fire the last week or so.
Yeah, they're sitting at 134 weighted runs created. That's 34% above average, 18th in the country. That is not the highest Big 12 team, however, though. Texas Tech is, who made the list last week.
That's
that
right. You got me.
Absolutely stacked. So, yeah. Another pitcher that probably, if Sabins would have kept him in a Saturday or Sunday role, Dawson Montesa, was looking really good. Unfortunately, moved into that Friday night ace spot and hasn't had the best appearances. So time will tell. I think Cincinnati is also a pretty salty little team. We'll see how the Big 12 shakes out. But, yeah, there's some talent in the Big 12.
Absolutely. Dawson Montesa, the Big 12 uncut gem pick. Excited to see how he handles Friday nights, but he's had some tough luck. Griss, any closing remarks on Moneyball? I don't know what our plan is as far as keeping you around. The last few weeks on CBC Radio, you've kind of just lingered. I'd be fine if you continued to do that. I think that we're headed towards a situation where eventually you're just kind of here the whole time. That's almost been the case today. Before you answer my question of anything else to say, I will say that the thing with Griss, for those of us who are still tuned in, who are hopefully watching on Twitter, YouTube, liking, subscribing, commenting, doing everything, every time I call Griss, I will either get him right away or he will call me back within 5-10 minutes, because I'm convinced that you actually don't do anything. I know that you're a big shot real estate. You live in a gated community, as we learned last week. You're a big money bags guy. So obviously you've done something in the past to earn the life you have now. But Griss is available at the drop of a hat. And consequently, we have these great tangents throughout the week. It's not just when a camera's recording in front of us. But overarchingly, anything else on Moneyball? And then I'll let you just kind of ramble about the rest of the things that I just rambled about.
No, I think you hit it all. I do want to say Arkansas won 9-4 over Northern Colorado, so they complete that midweek sweep. But more importantly, I bought this shirt in Omaha, vastly overpriced, from a very pushy salesman. He was set up there in the parking lot next to the stadium and bought this shirt, wore it one time. It was when we lost the elimination game to LSU. I stashed it away in my closet, and I tried to put it on again to see if we could win, and we lost the Friday night game to UT Arlington. And so it got stashed away in the closet again, and I figured if I was going to break the curse, because I'm very superstitious when it comes to the articles of clothing I wear, I thought, all right, if we lose to Northern Colorado, I'm going to burn this shirt. And I actually told my 14-year-old son that, to which he replied, they don't care what shirt you're wearing. That doesn't have any play in the outcome of the game, which he's grounded now. So
Correct, but
they did win. So now we are 1-2 when I wear this shirt. So we've broken the losing streak. That's really all I have left to add.
Right. I have no memory of that elimination game against LSU. I don't recall that at all.
Yeah. Well, Charles Davalin does.
Okay. Well, we will. Thank you, Griss. Again, you're free to stick around. I don't really care what it is that you do.
Are you superstitious? Are you going to wear an Iowa State shirt when they play?
Griss, I'm the most superstitious person you've ever met.
I think that comes with the territory in baseball.
Yeah, and with Iowa State football, I'll keep it brief. But for the last 9 years, I have worn the same shirt, same everything head to toe, since October 7th of 2017, because Iowa State went into Oklahoma as a 31.5 point underdog and won the game outright. Not many people would remember that game, but it was pretty monumental for Iowa State football, put them on the map a little bit, and then they continued to win in October that month. And ever since then, they've been a respectable program after a history of not being a respectable program at all, sort of an Arkansas of the Big 12. But ever since then, I've been extremely superstitious, not just in what I wear, but in the things I do every Saturday, the things I do every Friday night. I have played the most recent NCAA football game up until midnight of every Friday night before an Iowa State game. I leave my car with the same radio station on and the same volume on every night, but also significantly before a game. Last season, I went and got the same box of donuts before nearly every game before they went on a losing streak. Last season was actually the most sanity I've had, because once they started to not play sound football and I noticed that the effort wasn't there, I said, all right, I'm out too. I'm not going to give you my effort. And now there's a new head coach in town, so I'm excited for the opportunity to reset my superstitions a little bit. But as far as Iowa State hoops goes the next few days, I will be walking on eggshells, doing everything I can to be mentally sound, because overarchingly, I don't necessarily believe in that if I shut a door the right way, it impacts Iowa State football or Iowa State basketball or what have you. But I do believe in the mental connection of how I feel is how certain players feel. And that's almost more nuts. But when I have a headache, it feels like Iowa State also plays a little bit more upset. When I do something that I shouldn't have done earlier that day, it seems like that impacts the team. There's obviously no real connection there. I could say that with some sanity now. But when Iowa State's playing on Friday against a 15 seed and things are going poorly, I'm going to be looking on the back week and say, man, I really blew it on Thursday or Tuesday or Monday. But if they're playing well, and I said earlier, I would saw off my limbs if it meant an Iowa State Final Four appearance. I do mean that. If I have to saw off my limbs standing in the Lucas Oil Stadium during the Final Four, I'll do it.
So tell me about your game day experience. Do you like to watch with people? Do you like to be like at a bar, or do you like to be alone, quiet, just you and the TV?
Yeah. So it kind of depends on the sport, but for football, I am 100% by myself, and I am a pretty silent watcher. No matter how good or bad things are going with football, I will sit there mostly kind of just taking it in. When it's basketball, I'm a little bit more vocal. I'm also more okay with more people being around. I think that's kind of a credence to the Iowa State basketball program being better off than the Iowa State football program without my intervention. Whereas the Iowa State football team needs me locked in because they're a lot worse of athletes. They're playing better teams. Whereas Iowa State basketball is usually the better team. They don't need as much help from me. But the last time I watched an Iowa State game in a sports bar type setting or any place other than my home or the arena or stadium was probably about 11 years ago today, in 2015, when Iowa State as a 3 seed lost to 14 seed UAB in the NCAA tournament. I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I will never do that again. Number one, Buffalo Wild Wings is gross. Number two, Iowa State lost to UAB. That was a team that had the opportunity to go really far. If you think of Iowa State basketball about 10 years ago, that was peak Iowa State basketball. They just won the Big 12 tournament. That was Fred Hoiberg's last team at Iowa State. He was gone to the Chicago Bulls a few days later. That team had some locker room problems that were revealed at halftime of that game. But either way, that was a terrible day. That was probably the worst day of my sports fanhood. And I associate that with my mistake of being at anywhere other than home. I also sit in the same spot on the couch. I hold my remote and phone in the same spots. I don't eat during games. I don't eat pizza day of games. I don't eat Casey's pizza specifically, period. Iowa State lost a football game 8 years ago in 2018. When I had Casey's pizza, I have not had Casey's pizza since. My office had a potluck today. Casey's pizza was there. It was, in fact, the main course. I did not have any. I will not engage in that, especially in such a big week where it is NCAA tournament time. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm superstitious.
Wow, Casey's pizza just caught a stray from Noah.
Sorry,
Darling.
won't do it. And I actually am starting to worry that the Quick Trip bagels, the breakfast ones, Iowa State basketball went on a spin when I was eating those. You haven't seen those from me lately, have you? I'm worried gas station food in general might be bad luck for me.
It's probably a good life lesson, all in all. I would stay away from Quick Trip until they sponsor you too.
Well, I don't mind a good quick Trip coffee, and we'll see what irons in the fire we have there. But they also carry the paper, which is a credit to them. Casey's does not usually, not at most locations. Some do, but not most. Chris, I as we roll on, I wanted to touch on the games coming up this weekend. And I know you love when I introduce things like that, but I wanted to say it because I'm not going to. I'm not going to touch on what's coming up. If you're a college baseball sicko, you're 55 minutes in. 200 or so people have clicked into this at some point or another. Hopefully you're all watching right now. You know what's coming up this weekend. You know some of the great games that are coming. You also know the challenge of watching hoops and baseball at the same time. It's crossover season. That's what beat reporters call it. We are far from beat reporters. We have the ability to go anywhere in the country we want. Grissom and I have touched every corner of the country this year, it seems like. Maybe not on the East Coast, but I'm sure we've had guys out there. But Gris, is there anything that you're looking forward to this weekend specifically? Otherwise, just anything that's going well in your life right now?
I think you hit on everything. The crossover is fun, trying to balance between baseball Friday, and we've got some games starting Thursday, but I think they're all Thursday night. There's typically a little lull in between games, like from 3 to about 5 or 6. So it's a great time to start baseball up. As most of these series will begin around that time. I think 4:00 Central, the premier time zone of America, is when a lot of these series begin. So just plan accordingly because you can see all of them.
I agree with that. You absolutely can't see everything. Multiple TVs. If you're smart, let everybody else in your house go to sleep tonight. Wheel in a second TV into the main living room. Call in sick to work tomorrow, whatever it takes, and do the same on Friday because it doesn't get better than this. Right now, we are fortunate to be alive at the same time as crossover season, and hopefully it's not our last one on this earth, Chris. Probably you, though, because you're significantly older than me. Like we said earlier, you really need to cherish weeks like this. Not so much me.
Thanks, Noah.
Yeah. With that, thank you everybody for tuning in to CBC Radio. We made it another one. I would say that this one was truthfully my favorite one of the bunch. Consequently, also the longest one. I aim to never see 57 minutes in the corner again. I shoot for 45. If you've been here before, I'll go even lower than that. Grissom having me rank the holidays got really out of hand. Shame on him. I had nothing to do with it. Gris, any closing remarks for the hundreds of people still tuned in?
Nope. I think they've heard enough out of us today.
Great. I 100% agree. Thanks for tuning in to CBC Radio. We will see you next Wednesday. If the Iowa State Cyclones are still playing, take my limbs. It's okay with me.